What's up, guys? This is Inspiration Over Ignorance. We're back again, and today we have an interesting topic. The topic is interview tips. It's gonna be very helpful for you guys. Hopefully, you guys can learn from some of this stuff. My name is George.
I'm Sara.
And I'm Shenika.
Okay, so we want to start off today by I want to throw out a quick, I think this is going to help a lot of people because this is kind of definitely one of my questions too. I mean, I kind of I'll wrestle with this one. First off, what should we be wearing to our interviews?
I'll let you go, Nate.
Let me go for okay. Like we were talking about earlier, that typically I like to do a little research on the company besides, to be just, up on and look sharp in an interview. Kind of do research on the company if you're going to somewhere new that you've never been, or if it's like you're on Indeed and you got a new job and you don't really know what the atmosphere looks like. Sometimes the websites will kind of give you an idea of what everyone looks like at the job, or at least the ideal version. And then, of course, if you don't have that, always just look professional. For women, make sure you just look nice, wear nice colors, wear a nice blouse and a nice, comfortable fitting, nothing too tight, right. Nothing too, revealing. I guess that's the nice word to say for it. And then for me and most of the jobs that I've always worked at, it's always closed-toe shoes. I know Sara said it was a little different with her, but always closed-toe shoes just because of the environment of like being in a pharmacy. Like we don't want your toes out. And then like I was saying too, I was at a hotel last week and it was this girl that came in for a Delta interview and she looked very nice, but she had her toes out. She had on flip-flops. They were nice flip-flops, but it's like, hey, you can't try not to do that. Like Delta, even me, I haven't, of course, applied there, but I know what the stores look like. I know what the ladies that help out when you coming in and getting on the plane, what they look like. They're very,
it's a look.
It's a look. It's a very old school,
it's a look.
Closed toe with the little, chalk heels, maybe a flat. And if you're a stewardess, a lot of times they wear heels. So, I don't know what position, of course, she was going for, but I know that company in their brand, and it's, I don't think that they would really want your toes out.
No, they really.
But that's, I don't work there, but that would be my guess. So comfortable, professional. Just try to look your best, of course, and men. Try to wear a nice collared shirt, no t-shirts, of course, no shorts. No shorts, and just really look your best. Like if you wouldn't wear this on a date to impress somebody, don't wear it.
Good tip.
You have to dress to impress, like Ross says.
Yeah.
And so
Ross giving us some tips.
Shout out to Ross.
Shout out to Ross.
A lot of us may not wear these interview clothes frequently. Right. So there's not a lot of them in our closet.
This is true.
And sometimes they can be a little more costly. So if you're in that boat, hey, go to the Salvation Army or the Goodwill and whatever it takes. Because you do, even if it's a cook at McDonald's, just dress like you are applying for a CEO position for a big company.
This is true.
Women, cleavage, save it. Save it. It just concerns me, you represent me, our department, our team. And so I don't want to question that you're going to make a decision that may embarrass or not represent us in the best light. And it's not to stereotype anyone, but I'm like protective over my team. So I never want to give anybody a reason to hold that over their head.
Right.
Like, oh, she works very hard, but her hair's always messy. She's always showing her cleavage. Like, don't even give them any reason. And I feel like appearance and what you're wearing is something that you can control.
Truth.
As far as the shoes, yes, I work company I worked for, a large corporation. They did allow open toes along with the heel as long as they had a back, and I thought that was okay as long as, you know, your toenails are nicely manicured. No spaghetti straps. I've had spaghetti straps on interviews.
Yeah,
I've had no bras on interviews.
It's
not
too
that
much.
not that I'm looking, but no wet hair.
Oh,
no sunglasses on top of the head.
No sunglasses.
I've had interviews with, you know, kids in the background.
Oh, man.
So, hey, I'm a mom. I get it. We're busy, but you gotta plan.
Yeah.
I want to know you're a planner.
Yeah.
That this job is important to you, and that you made some arrangements.
Yeah.
Hey, I would rather you say, hey, I was unable to get coverage for my kids. I do need to reschedule. I would respect that. But do know sometimes, you know, we need these positions filled right away.
That's
and
true.
you rescheduling, it may lose your spot. But I mean, at least if something happened down the road, have a good impression of that.
Just because you're on the Zoom don't mean that, hey, all of the professionalism, all that stuff go out. I don't want to see your kids in the background just because you're on a Zoom meeting, like a Zoom interview. Like, that doesn't give you a reason. Honestly, you really probably need to upgrade your professionalism even more, you know, because we know you're in a comfortable space. So it's certain things I can't really read, so I'm only taking a small amount, and the kids, that would be very bad. That's tough.
And be age appropriate. I had someone wear a Mickey Mouse.
Oh man.
You know, on their shirt. So
not to your boss, not to your new potential boss.
And
do it on your own
with
time.
Mickey Mouse, but just go towards, you know, like Nick said, researching the company, kind of be familiar with their expectations. I've had someone kind of wear their uniform, partial uniform from their last, I guess, their current job onto this job. I want to see you put some effort into
that's low effort. Yeah, that's what that comes across. Yeah, low effort for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving on to the next point. It's what should I be highlighting in this interview about myself that presents me in a light for this position? Well, I mean, what's some things I should be kind of highlighting?
Very good question. Well, for me, and I think I kind of go the same way. Like, I feel like things that I've done in interviews, the same thing I kind of expect for other people. Look up the job description. Do some research. Even if you're new to the company or the position, look up some of the things that they expect you to have. And then I always want to hear like certain keywords, like be able to mention, like if you know a program that we're using or honestly, that's all I typically used to do. I would research the companies, if there were like resumes online, or if there were certain type of job descriptions online from the listing as well as the actual company's website.
Gotcha.
And then I would make sure, okay, I can do this, this, and this. Honestly, even I've gone as far as to put some of the job description information in my resume. I don't know if I've done that. You know, so you know, hey, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm made for this job. You can't. There's nothing
no
you
way
can
you
do.
Can't pick me.
No way you can
pick
pick me.
me.
So you end up using this, you know, system, which is probably a robot that's doing it. My resume is definitely gonna come up for sure.
Gotcha.
But that's just that's my little cheat sheet on, you know. I'm sure Sarah got some good stuff.
No, that's exactly key. You want to use the highlights of the job description, the requisition that's matches with the skills that you have.
Yeah.
When you're explaining your background, and they say, "Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself." You know, when we say that, we're really aiming towards, you know, your professional career. If you give a little bit of insight of your family, you know, that's on you. We're actually really not allowed to ask those types of questions. But it does, you know, helps be personable and relate. But a tip I have is our attention span is about 6 seconds on average. So you want to kind of captivate them with your history.
Yeah.
I would try to do it in no more than 30 seconds. So I've had people that have had drawn out experience, like decorated, that's great, and wow.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes later, they're still talking, and it's not needed.
Yeah.
And I have your I've done my homework.
True.
I've read your resume.
Yeah.
I kind of know.
Yeah.
So
that's how you got to interview. So 9 times out of 10, I mean, for me, typically, I know it was a busy, so I probably had 10 to 15 minutes to this interview, maybe 30. That's at the max, and I really need to get back to work. So I want to keep certain things to a minimum, especially I don't want to rehear what I've already know,
Correct.
from your interview. I mean, from your resume. So for sure.
Okay, so Sarah, okay, I know when you're in these interviews, you're nervous. You're trying to make sure you get all your questions out, but you want to also listen well and make sure you're hearing everything that you need to hear. What's some good tips about listening and kind of what's that fine line between saying, hey, you know what? Oh man, I need to relax. I got to relax because I got to hear these questions and respond with good responses also.
So your body language tells a lot. Now, some of it we can't control. Like I've had people like dilated pupils. I just know they're anxious. I can see like sweat on their hands. You know, they're nervous. And if you're too nervous, hey, it kind of makes me think like, I know that this job requires a lot, that it may be too much. How are they going to handle, stressful situations in this role? So I would say, look in the mirror, maybe get a friend, try to rehearse some of these questions and try to teach yourself to have no fear and know, like a dead man walking, like whether you get it or not, it's not a deal breaker in your life. You guys, I can't even tell you how many interviews that I've had over the course of my career. It's just the name of the game.
Yeah, it is.
And now that I'm on this side, I kind of know it is like a very drawn out process and so many factors go into even that manager, even just getting your requisition. Sometimes it never gets to you. So just be patient. And the more interviews you go on, the more practice you
This is true. So go on some interviews of jobs that you really don't care about, because that'll help give you that numbness that is like, hey, and that was a big thing for me when I first got my first management position. It was like, I rehearsed with someone, and that made me feel so much more comfortable. Now, I was still nervous, and it was a phone interview at that. But obviously, they didn't tell, because that's what my manager was saying. He was like, I couldn't tell. I was so nervous. Wow, but I did do a lot of practicing. I rewrote out, some of the questions I thought they would ask and my responses. So, if it's something you really want, do whatever it takes to be comfortable. And for sure, like the mock interviews are the best, for sure.
Cool. Okay. Well, another good question, I think a lot of people probably is that struggle with this too, is how do I leverage the past? Like, do I bring up my past successes at other jobs or downfalls that I had at other jobs? Do I bring that stuff up, or do I just...
Yeah.
You're gonna, at some point, you're gonna have to speak on your previous job history. So
don't bring up bad experiences. That would
just stay neutral.
That wouldn't be good. When they're asking you, why did you leave your last job? I don't ask that question personally.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear anything negative about that company. Even if it was a negative experience, you just come up with anything. You're looking for an opportunity. That's so basic. That offers better benefits for you and your family, or a different schedule. Just try to keep all the emotions out of it. You don't want to be like, my last boss, she just was out to get me. Everything I did, she hated. Red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag. And too, what I learned, I don't know about, your field, but I know with pharmacy, like the world is so small. You don't know who has a classmate, who has, a previous manager or a relative. Like, so it's always just good to stay neutral. Like, if it is a bad experience that you really feel bad about, just don't talk about it. Not to your potential new boss.
It's not necessary.
Move forward.
Talk to your mom or your friends, people who, kind of care. Don't talk to your new boss.
Okay. Okay. Moving along. How do I compensate for my weaknesses? Like, if it's a certain skill that this job is requiring and I don't have, or I'm not as good at that skill, do I fluff it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I get the job,
Definitely
and then I just flop when I get the job. Or what happens?
Well,
how that works?
I think that, like I was saying, I'm the type of person where, hey, I may say, okay, I'm not familiar with that. If it's something that I'm like, okay, I definitely don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
But generally, I feel like I can learn anything, so I'm gonna follow it up with, fake it. Like, hey, I'm not familiar with that, program.
Right.
But I'm a hard worker. Like I'm very dedicated. I've spent extra time working on it to figure whatever I need to figure out. I'm gonna do it. So always kind of any of the things, your shortcomings, always make sure you got a good comeback. Yeah, just to kind of make it so, okay. Because that's what I would. Right. Yeah, like
you believe what?
I believe you. I do.
I think you have no clue.
Right. You were honest. You said, hey, I'm not familiar. Right. So now, okay. So maybe they are telling me to do it. But that's just that's my 2 cents.
Fake it until you make it. Okay. A lot of people do that, but some jobs it just shows right away, and you want to set yourself up for success. So sometimes you might be hurting yourself when you do get hired, and then you can't perform, and then you end up like in a performance improvement plan. So, like Neek said, if you don't know, it is best to be honest, but of course say, oh, I am a fast learner and I would, be willing to spend time, maybe off hours, because this job is important to me. It'd be worth it.
Yeah. That's good. Good wording.
Okay. Now this, like I said, this is kind of my favorite one. I want to find out and get out there. The end of the interview, the exit, when it's coming to the end, how do I close out? Do I just allow the interviewer just
get up and leave?
Yeah, just like, what?
Or should I have this drawn out setup and questions I want to feedback? Does that make me pushing up the leaderboard or something?
Yeah, like I said on the last interview, with the company I was working for, we had set questions, and that was the last question. Hey, do you have any questions for me? That was my third question I could ask.
I feel like it's a trick question.
It does seem like a trick question, but always have a question, even if it's just something as simple as, how soon are you going to be, deciding on a candidate, like just something so that it seems like you're being engaged and you want to know, and it's not like, I'm glad it's over,
Right.
I definitely think it's important to have something to ask.
Yeah. Ask at least one question. And even if you already know the answer,
that's a good.
Ask it. Try not to ask a question that the manager's already explained.
Definitely don't do that.
But I had a candidate who had the requisition printed out with the job description and highlighted certain things that she had questions on, which I was really impressed with.
Yeah,
so that's a tip right there.
That's good.
And I think it's the manager's job to make them feel comfortable. To wrap it up, I always like to escort them out so they know how to get out.
True.
We work at a big place.
That's good.
And guys, reframe from, sending text messages the same day of your interview, the next day of your interview.
Give them some time.
Yeah, the best professional way would be, email, if something happens, text message, but you just never want to feel,
don't ever text. Don't do that. Don't,
just maybe a little too soon. Unless I can't think of it.
You're kind of desperate at that point.
I don't see any reason why you should be texting the hiring manager's phone number. Unless that's your cousin. If that's your friend, y'all got that type of relationship, but that's very, always email. I always say, between the next day and the 72 hours, you kind of want to give them a little time to, get their thoughts together and interview other people, and then definitely send a follow-up email.
Oh, yeah. I say, a follow-up email, just thanking them, not, asking, following up, but just a thank you email within the first 24 hours after your email, because just seeing your name come across the email, be like, oh, okay, that was nice and professional. If they don't respond, don't take it personal.
Right.
If you don't get hired, don't take it personal. Like I said, there are so many factors that play into someone getting hired. It may not even be that hiring manager's decision. That may have already been decided by someone above them.
Truth.
So they're not going to tell you that. So if you don't get an explanation, just keep trying.
Yeah,
just keep trying.
It's not the end of the world, if that's not for you, it's definitely
It's
something else
better.
Yeah. That manager really should be leaving a good impression for the company itself. So they know when they talk to a friend, like, oh yeah, I interviewed with that company. And they're very friendly. And that's the word of mouth that you want to have.
True. That's true.
So we got some good tips out there. Staying relaxed.
Yeah. Dressing for success.
Plan ahead of time.
What else we had?
We talk about come with your resume. Did we talk about that?
That's a good one.
Because you may come and there might be a panel of people, and maybe little Timmy's computer's not working. So if you're like, oh, no worries, Timmy.
Or he's testing you. Little Timmy may be testing you. Let me see how prepared.
Correct.
Yeah.
Little Susie is. So come bring your resume. Don't just bring that folder with nothing in it.
And one thing about maybe not being honest about your skills. In my role, we had a test.
Ooh.
And so I know some of the managers didn't always tell people about the test, but it's like a qualifier test just to test your background knowledge.
Ooh.
So that could be thrown in at you, and they're like, hey, you can take it today. Just have an answer ready. You gotta go pick up my kids.
Be careful.
It's not a good day.
Not today.
So back to that fluff thing we told y'all about. So if you out here fluffing,
you don't know.
You don't know what's coming next.
That fluff could help you. It could hurt you.
It could be sliding your pencil and paper.
Yeah.
Now
you got to do 10 steps of math that you told them that you could do.
And now you're in the room for 2 hours. Now what's next? Where we going?
And you don't know there's a camera on you, so you can't pull out your phone. Be careful with the fluff.
Yeah, check your fluff, man. You got to gauge it. I can't really.
Right. We don't really know now. We're gonna put the fluff in your hands.
Okay. But guys, it's been. Anything else you guys want to add?
I wanted Sara to tell us about maybe one or two of her experiences, anything that she's already hasn't talked about. I know she's had a couple of interesting interviews. Colorful and
gonna go off the tracks, right?
Yeah, because I feel like some of these stories, like you were telling me,
unreal.
They're almost unreal, and two, it really makes me think that maybe people really don't know. So it's almost to the point where it's not funny, That's
why we thought this is a well-needed topic because I think some of these outlandish stories are people really don't understand.
We need help.
I know. I'd say I kind of talked about a lot. The clothing and
it's a big one.
It's a big one. I would say just go back to planning. You can't have the dog barking in the background so much where I can't even hear you.
Jeez.
Put the dog outside, guys.
Come
on, guys.
Jeez.
Just I've seen a lot. I don't even go about
Sunglasses. That was crazy. That was crazy.
Just like soaking wet hair.
The halter top.
The no
halter top. And to now, especially when you're having the Zoom meetings too. We talked about this with my little brother. Go on a couple days. Make sure you can work the software. Make sure you don't have to download something to your computer and prepare for the interview. So when it's time to go, you're right on. It's not like, you're trying to email the manager, you're trying to find them and trying to find a contact because you can't get on to the system. Like that's another part of being prepared too.
I did have someone that had never used our software before. Was there for a shadowing experience, which I recommend. That's actually a good way to show interest. If they ask, do you offer like a shadow session? I can sit with someone for maybe 30 minutes or so. And so they were able to shadow. They're evaluating our software and, had negative criticisms about the software and our process when they didn't understand the big picture. So it left a very bad impression in me because that's not what you're necessarily.
You're not there.
You don't want to be a
know-it-all.
in the
right direction, but you went off the cliff.
10 steps back.
You don't want to be a know-it-all.
Why would you even? You seem so interested.
So stay humble, and if you feel that way, then you don't keep it to yourself.
Keep it to
and
yourself.
then that job is just not for you.
Don't tell the manager that. Don't give any type of negative. If you want the job, now if you're like, you know what, I've decided I don't want it. Then give them your unfiltered feedback. But
and I was
don't do that. That is bad form.
And it was critiquing a fellow teammate.
Oh my God, that's worse.
It just also made me think, how well are you going to be able to get along with the team?
You're not.
When I introduce a person that's interviewing to the team, that is a test, guys. Seeing how they interact with the team. Can they spark up a simple conversation? Are they going to look them in the eye? Are they going to, be withdrawn? And I've had someone kind of look down with a straight face, and then my team comes to me afterwards and was like,
we can't work
what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
So
people
you're being watched by everyone.
Everybody, especially when you come in like that. That's huge. When you get introduced to other people, it's a test, because now not only do you have the managers, eyes. Now it's everyone else is paying attention to things that maybe the manager wouldn't have noticed, or maybe the manager wouldn't even have considered. And because you have a relationship with those people, you're going to take in all of that feedback. So that's
a team interview.
Yeah.
So you got to be a good fit. Yes. Even if you're super smart, if you're not a good fit.
It's not worth it, right? Because, you have to work with each other. So
it's a team.
Definitely team effort. Definitely team effort. Okay.
Well, I think that was very good. I think some good tips.
I agree. I learned something too. So
for both of y'all stories.
Hopefully, I don't have to be interviewing anymore.
Right.
But I'll put it in the back of my head for sure.
Well, guys, as you know, this is inspiration over ignorance. We're glad we had a good talk with you guys today. Hope you learned from this, and you can find us on any one of your podcasts
every Thursday
searches. But we'll see you guys next week. I'm George.
I'm Sara.
I'm Shenika.
Bye, guys. Check our YouTube channel.
YouTube.
Check Exchange.